Good morning, students. How are you? In last week, in our chemistry period, students, we have discussed about metals and non-metals. Okay, we have seen the differentiation properties between them. Total 8 properties we have seen which distinguishes metals from non-metals. If that property is to describe in short, that is malleability, ductility, then sonorous, then appearance, then density, melting and boiling point. All these properties we have discussed in our last lecture, which differentiates metals and non-metals. Children, pure substances, as we have seen before, that is, they are classified into elements and compounds. Okay, again elements, and second one it was compounds. Elements, they are classified into again 3 types, that is metals, non-metals, and in today's video we will talk about the third category, that is metalloids. Metalloids are the elements. Now from the name only we can just guess, or we can tell about them, that is, these are the elements. What they are doing? These elements, they behave sometimes like metals, or sometimes they behave like non-metals. Both the properties they have, and that's why they are known as metalloids. If we talk in detail about them, sometimes we can say that their appearance is bright, shiny appearance is there, which is the characteristics of metal. Okay, but at the same time, what happens? If they are hammered, they convert into powder form, brittle, what we can say. This is the characteristic of non-metal. Right? So their behavior is, dual behavior is there. Sometimes they behave like metal, sometimes they behave like non-metal, and that's why they are named as metalloids. If we talk about the examples, children, we will discuss more about them. First we will see the examples. First is boron. This is the symbol of boron. Then it is silicon. Then it is germanium is there. Right? Then arsenic is there. Okay? Then the next one more is there, that is antimony. Symbol is SB. Just remember the symbol. It doesn't matches with the name because. Okay? And then it is not given the name in the textbook, but it is also there. Tellurium. Symbol is Te. These are the symbols: boron, silicon, germanium, arsenic, antimony, and tellurium. All these are the examples of metalloids. Means dual behavior they have. They behave as metals as well as non-metals. If we talk about the conductivity, at specific temperature they are the conductors of electricity. What we are saying about metals? Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, right? And non-metals, they are the poor conductors. But if we talk about these elements, these are the metalloids. So what happens? At normal temperature they don't conduct, but at specific temperature they can conduct electricity. So it is a dual behavior, and they are also known as semiconductors. See children, it is very vast branch of physics, and nowadays large applications it has semiconductors. Okay, details about these semiconductors, where they are used and all, in some period again I will tell you, but right now you just remember that elements, they are divided into three categories: metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metalloids are the substances, or metalloids are the elements which have dual behavior. Sometimes they behave like metal, sometimes they behave like non-metal. Okay, these are the examples of metalloids, and we have seen two characteristics. Here one more characteristic we can tell about that: conductivity. Okay, two like example characteristics we have seen over here. So this was all about the metalloids, and now we will start with our next part, that is compounds. Whole things like metals, non-metals and metalloids, all the things we were discussing about elements, right? Now the next part comes, that is compounds. Now what are the compounds and their properties, that also we will discuss. Okay students, now let us talk about compounds. First we will see the definition. We will discuss the definition of compounds. What are compounds? I will read the definition for you, and then we will discuss it in detail. These are the pure substances made from combining two or more elements in a fixed proportion of their mass. Now see here, one by one we will divide. Okay, we will divide the definition and then we will explain. These are the pure substances. What is the first part of the definition? Pure substances. As we have seen before, what is the definition of pure substance? Single type of particles should be there. What is meant by pure substance? Single type of particle should be there. Okay. Now these are the pure substances made from combining two or more elements. What is the composition? Two or more elements are there. Okay. In a fixed proportion of their mass. This is very important word. Third one, fixed proportion. Now here definitely the doubt will be there in your mind that, ma'am, we have discussed about pure substances that they contain single type of particles. When they are containing single type of particles, how two or more elements are there, and then also the compound is a pure substance, and how it is in the fixed proportion? What is exactly mean by that? One by one we will explain. Okay, first let me tell you one example. What it is? Water. It is the formula for water. What is the formula? H2O. Now, is it a what we can say element or compound? Definitely it is a compound, because two elements are there. Which two elements are there? Hydrogen and oxygen. Now there will be doubt in your mind that now two type of particles are there, hydrogen and oxygen. Two different particles are there. If two different particles are there, then how it can be a pure substance? Definitely. Okay, now I'll explain you. See children, take example of water. Any water I am talking here. Let it be a sea water or river, or then wells, tube wells, whatever it is, lake, pond, any example of water. We are not talking there about the minerals and salts dissolved in that. Right? What are the minerals dissolved in that? What are the salts dissolved in that? We are not talking about that. We are talking only about water. What is the composition of water? That is hydrogen and oxygen. These are the composition. These are the constituents of water. Hydrogen and oxygen are the constituents of water, right? When we talk about the water, it only includes H2O. This is the fixed formula. This formula never changes according to the place, or according to the time, or according to the origination of water. Okay, the sea water is there, then formula will be something different. River is there, then it will be something different. No, it will, the minerals and salt, what they will do, only they will affect the taste, only they will affect the appearance of water. Getting? So these minerals and salts which are present in the water, they are not at all concerned about the H2O part. It will remain same everywhere. और H2O ही रहेगा, वो ऐसे नहीं होगा. H2O2, it will be hydrogen peroxide. Okay, it is not the formula for water. Formula for water will be H2O. Same proportion ही, this proportion will be same throughout the any place you go. It will not change. Now here H2O, if we talk, 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen combines with each other and gives 1 molecule of water. When we talk about that 1 molecule of water, it contains only hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so when we talk about 1 molecule of water, what it contains? H2O. That 1 molecule can be 1 particle. Okay, now that 1 molecule which contains H2O, it is there in its purest form. Yes or no? When we combine 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, it forms 1 molecule of water. That 1 molecule of water is a pure substance because it contains single type of particle. Getting? Other minerals and salts, whatever, let it be present over there, we are not talking about that. So that way it is a pure substance. Understood now why compounds are pure substance? Because they contain only single type of particle. Means what? See, 1 molecule of water, only H2O will be there. 1 molecule of carbon dioxide, only CO2 will be there. 1 molecule of carbon monoxide, only CO will be there. 1 molecule of salt, sodium chloride, only NaCl will be there. And this is the fixed formula. ऐसे नहीं होगा ये कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है तो ये कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड है. This is carbon dioxide. It is NaCl. So if we want to write the formula for NaCl, it cannot be Na2Cl. No, it is wrong. It will be NaCl only. If I am writing here H2O2, it will be hydrogen peroxide. If I am writing H2O, it is water. Okay, if I am writing here H2SO4, what it is? It is sulfuric acid. Okay, if I am writing here H2SO3, it cannot be a sulfuric acid. Here the composition is changed. Oxygen atoms कितने हैं यहाँ पर? 4 है. 4 oxygen atoms are here. Here how many oxygen atoms are there? 3 oxygen atoms are there. Right? So the composition is changed. Now this is sulfuric acid. Okay, this is not the sulfuric acid formula. It is sulfurous acid. So that way it is a pure substance. 2 or more elements are there that we have seen, and the fixed proportion. Now fixed proportion, more examples we will discuss. Here the idea was there only to explain you about the pure substance, how it is a pure substance. Because maybe other things are added in that, but the basic molecule of water will be H2O. It will not contain any other particle in that. So it is a pure substance. Okay, now we will talk about the fixed proportion. What exactly is a fixed proportion? Okay, when we say about fixed proportion, when you talk about fixed proportion, what we have seen in the definition, that they are combined in a fixed ratio of their mass. Which mass it is? That is the atomic mass. Children, in next lesson we will discuss these two concepts in detail, that is atomic number and atomic mass. Exactly what it is. Atomic number, it is the number of protons or number of electrons. If you see the periodic table, now you people know na periodic table, you can see there the numbers are written. If the element is written like this, suppose it is oxygen, So here some number is written, here some numbers are written. That numbers are nothing but the one is atomic mass and one is atomic number. Now atomic number, it is the number of protons or number of electrons present in one atom of that element. Atomic mass, it is the number of protons plus number of neutrons. Okay, now atomic mass of oxygen, it is 16. Atomic number of oxygen, it is 8. What I can say about this, that is atomic number of oxygen is 8, means 8 protons are there or 8 electrons are there in one atom of oxygen, right? Now atomic mass of oxygen is 16. It means that total number of protons and neutrons in one oxygen atom is 16. Protons and neutrons, it is the addition of them. Okay, now here what we are telling, that the compounds are the substances, compounds are the pure substances which are made from 2 or 3 elements. They are combined with each other in a fixed proportion of their mass. Again come back to our favorite example. What is fixed proportion of mass? Now atomic mass of hydrogen, if we talk about, it is 1. Atomic mass of oxygen, it is 16. Okay, now here if we take this our example, how many hydrogen atoms are there? 2. H2 is there, na? So H plus H, 1 plus 1 is 2. How many oxygen atoms are there? Only 1 is there. So 1 oxygen, mass is 16. 1 plus 1, 2 is to 16. Okay, can it be divided further? Can it be simplified further? Yes. If we divide both the numbers by 2, it comes 1 is to 8. Here we have to remember, if we can simplify further, we can do that division. And till that time we have to simplify that if it is undivisible. Now see, 1 and 8 is there. Is it divisible further? Any number can divide it further? No. So this is the last ratio. So hydrogen and oxygen combine with each other in the ratio 1 is to 8 to form water. This is the meaning, 1 is to 8. Okay, now if I'll give you one example, if I am taking 1 gram of hydrogen here, how much oxygen I have to take? I have to take 8 gram of oxygen. Getting? One more example we will discuss. Okay, let us talk about one more example. This is what? Carbon monoxide. This is what? Carbon dioxide. Okay, now here atomic mass of carbon is 12. Atomic mass of oxygen is 16. For this we will find out the ratio. 1 carbon atom is there, 1 oxygen atom is there. So 12 is to 16. Is it divisible further? Yes. Divided by 2. 6 is to 8. Is it divisible still further? Yes. Again divided by 2. 3 is to 4. Now it is not divisible. Okay. So this is the final ratio. Then what I can say about that? That carbon and oxygen combine with each other in the ratio 3 is to 4 to form carbon monoxide. What I can say? Carbon and oxygen combine with each other in the ratio 3 is to 4 to form carbon monoxide. Right? Let us talk about carbon dioxide here. Again, atomic mass of carbon is equal to what? 12. Atomic mass of oxygen? 16. How many carbon atoms are there? 1. How many oxygen atoms are there? Here 2. 16. Sorry, 12. 16 plus 16. So 12 is to 32. Is it divisible? Yes, divided by 8. Sorry, divided by 2. 6 is to 16. Again can be divisible by 2. 3 is to 8. It is not divisible further. This is the final ratio. So what I can say about this? That is carbon and oxygen combine with each other in the ratio 3 is to 8 to form carbon dioxide. Okay. See, for every compound the ratio is decided and that ratio cannot be changed. If we are changing the ratio, the compound itself it will change. Are you getting my point? Here 3 is to 4, carbon monoxide will form. Here 3 is to 8, carbon dioxide will be there. Okay? We can change the ratio, but if we are changing the ratio, compound also will change. For that compound, the ratio will remain same throughout the universe wherever you go. Getting? So that is the definition of compound. It is a pure substance made up of or made from combining two or more elements in fixed proportion of their mass. Right, students? So that was all about the definition of compounds. Now we were talking in the last today's online lecture, if you have visited, we were talking about the properties of compounds. Properties of compounds, if we talk about these properties, the first property of compound, it is, if we talk about the properties, the first property is that a chemical compound consists of two or more elements combined in a fixed proportion. So what is fixed proportion? Actually it is the definition. First only we have discussed, but still it is included in the properties of compound. So one more time, I'll read it for you. A chemical compound consists of two or more elements combined in a fixed proportion. How it is fixed proportion, that we have discussed, so much we will not discuss about that. The second property we will discuss in detail. The properties of compounds are entirely different from those of its constituent element. This we will discuss. The properties of compounds means what? After the compound has formed, what are the properties of that compound? It is completely different from what are the ingredients of that. In that case, I have given you, one child asked me in an online session, doubt, ma'am, what is the exact difference between compounds and mixture? Children, let me tell you one example, a simple example. Tea. When we prepare tea, what are the ingredients of tea? Tea powder is there, then water is there, then sugar is there, milk is there. But is that proportion is fixed? No. We can add ingredient according to our requirement. Okay, somebody they doesn't like milk, so somebody is taking black tea. So that way the constituents or the ingredients are not fixed. And where the ingredients are not fixed, it is a mixture. In case of compounds, it is not like that. The ingredients are also fixed and their percentage is also fixed. But what is there? After forming the compound, the ingredients, what were their previous properties, that properties are lost. And new properties they have. After preparing the tea, does it happen like that the sugar, it was sweet before, and after adding in the water and then like that the property of sweetness has lost and now it is not tasting sweet? Does it happen? No. But in compounds what happen? That when they are formed, when they are ready, their previous properties are lost. They had, now the whatever the compound is there, that compound, it is there with the new properties. Okay. Now one more example I want to discuss with you, that you people everybody like bhel. Yes. Now we add many ingredients in that. We add onion in that, we add coriander, then tomatoes are there, then imli, it is also added in that, murmura is there, a number of ingredients are there. Now that ingredients, they do change their taste after mixing with each other. ऐसा होता है क्या अचानक से टेस्ट ही चेंज हो गया? No, it doesn't happen. But in case of compound, it happen. How it happens? That we will discuss. Take example of water. Water at room temperature, it is in which form? Liquid form. Okay? Hydrogen and oxygen at room temperature, they are in gaseous state. Their state gets changed here. The elements which were there in the gaseous state before, after combining with each other, from gaseous state they get converted into liquid state. Water at room temperature, it is a liquid form. Okay. One more thing here, that see children, last year in 8th standard one lesson was there, combustion and flame. In that you have seen hydrogen, it can be used as a fuel, means it is combustible, it can be burned, right? And oxygen, it supports burning. From first standard we are doing that experiment. Air is needed for burning. So oxygen, it supports burning. Okay. Here the properties are like that. One is combustible, one is the supporter. But when they are converting into water, it is neither combustible, water cannot be burned, and it doesn't support burning also. Instead of that, water is used as a fire extinguisher. So properties are completely changed. Same happens with carbon dioxide. What are the constituents? Carbon and oxygen. Here carbon is combustible, fuel. Carbon can be burned. Again oxygen, it supports burning. But when they combine with each other and when they form carbon dioxide, it is neither combustible nor supports burning. Carbon dioxide is also used as a extinguisher. So after forming the compound, the properties are completely changed than its ingredients properties. Okay, so this is the second property of compound. Then the third property is that the constituent elements of a compound cannot be separated by mechanical or physical method. Again, we will take favorite example, water. Physical methods of separation we have seen, that is hand picking is there, sieving is there, winnowing is there, filtering is there. Once water is prepared from hydrogen and oxygen by combining these two, suppose filtering, can we filter hydrogen and oxygen separately? If we filter water, can we separate these constituents? No. Any physical method will not work over there. Chemical methods like electrolytic decomposition is there. By that method, hydrogen and oxygen can be collected on different what we can say cathode and anode electrodes are there. There it can be done. That is separation of constituents. But by any physical method, it cannot be separated. Constituents of the elements of compounds cannot be separated. By any chemical method, it can be done. But by any physical or mechanical method, it cannot be separated. Okay, students? Now, today, I'll give you one PDF, that is one page notes will be there. You can copy down that notes in the classwork as a written work of second lesson. Okay? Thank you so much. In next video, we will talk more about the properties of compounds. Thank you.